All right. North Smithfield Planning Board meeting is called to order. It's 7:01 for October 14th. First item on the agenda is roll call. So, Mr. Fournier?
Here.
Mr. Keene?
Here.
Mr. Menard?
Here.
And the vice chair is here. Second item on the agenda is the minutes for approval of September 9th, 2021. Give everybody a minute to look over those.
I'll move that we accept as presented.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Keene. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Mr. Fournier. All in favor? Aye. All right. Item number 3 on our agenda, disclosure. This is where anyone can disclose potential conflicts on matters before the planning board.
I don't know if I have a conflict, but I plan to recuse myself for the Historic District Commission, the Grange Road Historic District vote.
Okay.
Not sure if I have a conflict with the Quaker Highway project. Mr. Hoole's application.
Okay. Do you want to get clarification from the
Yeah,
solicitor?
just so my relationship is I've purchased things from his store as a customer. I don't see it to have any impact on this, but just want to make that disclosure.
You're not talking about any, you're not talking about like, any,
Firearms.
not a wholesale contract.
No, no.
I don't think that's, I don't think so. You have no financial interest.
No.
Okay.
Or even for future purchasing, there's no issues there. Thank you.
Okay.
But for purposes of the next item, if you had discussions with him about this particular item, when you get to item number 4, you're supposed to disclose.
Right, which has not happened, so.
Okay. So we have Mr. Keene recusing himself for the 28 Grange Road Historic District item under new business. And then item number 4, disclosure and notice. Planning board members shall disclose any ex parte communications about any contested or material adjudicatory facts or opinions concerning the merits of any application before the planning board. Does anybody have anything to declare under that topic?
I don't.
Okay. So as you can see, we have a full house tonight. So the declaration of voting members for old business and of the Broadcast Hill Estates and the RTM Realty. The voting members will be Mr. Fournier, Mr. Keene, Mr. Menard, and myself. And then for the 28 Grange Road Historic District discussion, it will be Mr. Fournier, myself, and Mr. Menard. So with that, I'm actually going to do a little rearranging of the agenda. I would like to make a motion that we're going to move 28 Grange Road Historic District, discussion, vote, or other action on consistency with comp plan and other recommendations to be the next item on our agenda.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a second from Mr. Fournier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That means you're up. Mr. Fontaine. Actually,
Mr. Chairman, I think is this one that's gonna be a recusal?
yes.
Is that a technical, you're supposed to remove yourself from the dais as well.
Oh, okay.
So Bobby, do you want to just give us a rundown on this one?
Sure.
I hate to tell you that, Carol.
This is property at 28 Grange Road. It's the, Irene Nebeker lives there presently, and they would like to, she would like to establish it's called the Malavery House as a local historic district.
Okay. Mr. Fontaine?
Yes, how are you this evening? Yeah, I'm here taking the place of Mr. Harris tonight. He's the chairman. He called me yesterday and asked if I could fill in for him. And as the lady just explained, Irene Nebaker has approached us as a commission and asked that the Malaveri House be placed on the historic district. As some people are aware, this property is located on Grange Road. It actually fronts on two streets, on Pomona and Grange Road, and it is just north of the Grange Road National Historic District, which is a proposal. We're hoping that in the future this might become a local district, but that is, like I said, in the future more than it is now. The house is in repair right now, in disrepair, and if it is allowed to be in a historic district, it will be able, hopefully, to get some kind of grant funds in order to do some restoration. And I know Mr. Harris has given a letter stating basically about the story, the history of the house. So I don't really think I need to go over that because everybody has that in front. So I think what we're looking for here tonight is some guidance. I believe the end is we need approval from the town council. And obviously, any guidance from the planning board is greatly appreciated. But it's my personal opinion that placing this as a historic district, and as you know, you can have just one house in a historic district. You don't need to have more than one, as is evident with the Forestdale Schoolhouse. So with that being said, it's our hope that the board will look promising on putting that in as a historic district. And I think that would be a good for the community, definitely a good for the house, to save a house that has a rich history in its past, and also hopefully being able to get some funding in there so that house can be restored.
Thank you. Do either of you have any questions for Mr. Fontaine?
Once the house would be restored, if it were restored through some type of grant monies or even privately, would it be a residence or would it be just I'm gonna classify it, probably the wrong term, as a museum?
It's my understanding it would still be a residence.
Okay. So then, it seems that our action that we would have to take tonight is provide a positive recommendation to the town council that it is pursuant with our comp plan to, under our Historic and Cultural Resources chapter, as outlined in the memo, protecting the historic cultural resources from physical change inappropriate to their character and preserving the rural areas of North Smithfield. We in agreement for that?
Do we have enough members to vote to make a
Yeah,
motion?
I checked with the solicitor.
Then I'll make a motion to give a positive recommendation to the town council for the creation of the Malvery House Historic District.
Okay, have a motion. I'll second. All, roll call vote. Mr. Fournier?
Yes?
Mr. Menard?
Yes.
And the vice chair votes yes. So thank you very much.
On behalf of the North Smithfield Historic District Commission, I'd like to thank the planning board tonight.
You're very welcome. Yes.
Did I miss a vote that you said it was consistent? You took one vote or did you take two votes?
Oh, you have to say it's consistent with the comp plan.
We took one vote that it was consistent with the comp plan, outlining the goals, and recommended it to the town council.
I just got you had a motion to give a positive recommendation to the council.
That's the only motion I heard.
Okay. So then I'll make a second motion that our positive recommendation is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan.
Not the positive recommendation,
That-
the proposed amendment to the zoning code
Okay,
is consistent with the comp plan.
okay,
Those are the two functions.
all right. So I'll make the motion that this proposed zone change is consistent with our comprehensive plan, as outlined in the comprehensive plan. So that's the motion. We have a second from Mr. Fournier. Roll call vote from Mr. Fournier.
Yes.
Mr. Menard.
Yes.
And the vice chair votes yes. All right. All right, so we will go back to the regular order of the agenda. Under old business, discussion, consideration, and action by the board for broadcast Hill Estates-Mattity Road, Plat 10, Lot 52, continuation of discussion and informational meeting from the September 9th, 2021 meeting. This is for a major land development master plan application and informational meeting. Application involves the creation of 3 new residential lots and a 2.8 megawatt solar array.
That's changed.
Okay, so I'll pass it over to you to explain.
Okay, it's still a 2.8 megawatt array on a 4.8 acre array. It now, there's a new plan, and it now has 2 homes with a shared driveway that leads up to the driveways of the individual homes, and that road will go, or driveway, will go from paved to gravel, and that will lead to a gate that will allow you to enter into the solar area.
Okay, so I'll pass it over to the applicant.
Thank you. For the sake of, I believe Mr. Keene was not here at the last meeting, and I had handed out, may I give this to Mr. Keene? It's the list of the abutters with their
Sure.
proximity to the property. This is a list of all the abutters, and you really are in relation to how many feet.
I want to apologize quickly because I didn't give you the new narrative, but we did get the new plan, so you should be able to go by that.
Yeah, at the last meeting, Mr. Pilardi suggested that we revise the narrative because it inadvertently had on the narrative that there were no well protection, the site was not in a well protection area, so we removed that. We had since found out that the site is in a well protection area. So just for a formality, we revised the narrative, and we're now looking to do 2 residential house lots. The plan was changed a little bit. We've eliminated 1 lot from the last lot. We've eliminated the common road. Right now, the driveway, and of course, John Somick is here tonight. He's my business partner. He's, the board is welcome to ask John questions pursuant to the technical aspects, because John's basically our construction manager. So he's very versed in well-versed in engineering and construction techniques. We've rearranged the plan, and again, the focus there is, you've seen the site, to eliminate a bunch of driveways coming down that hill onto Mattity Road on the corner. So instead of a road going in to serve both lots, we have a basically, it's not really even a shared driveway, it's 10 feet on either side of the abutter, which will, the driveways will be on the lot line servicing each of the 2 lots. And the other changes that were made, if you notice the, is it up on the screen? Yeah. If you notice the vegetative buffer that wasn't on the previous plan, we didn't put it on the previous plan because we thought the 100-foot of foliage would have sufficed. However, it was recommended that we put it on the north, east, and south side of the site. And of course, there are only 2 abutters that really are going to be able to see this thing based upon the elevation and where they are. And one of them, lives right over here. So we did put the vegetative buffer around. We checked with the fire department, and the fire department wanted a turnaround up at the top and at the bottom here with 2 gates and a 20-foot buffer between the fence and the actual panels, so they can get in there with all of their equipment. And the reason why they wanted a turnaround up at the top is so they wouldn't have to go around the whole, array in case they went in with one of their pieces of equipment. They have the ability to turn around. Again, the goal here was to, if you remember from the last meeting, the goal was to not cut down as many trees as possible. If you recall, we talked about the grounding grid that's under the soil there, and it's not that it can't be torn up. It's really, it would be really a sin to cut all those trees down to pull up number 12 wire out of the ground. It just doesn't make really any sense. I mean, it can be done. You can scalp the land and grub it and take them all out, but It's really insignificant. The effect of the copper on the soil is no different from a copper pipe coming in from a water service on a house. And, John, do you have anything you want to add that?
Well, I think the change to the plan, the third lot would be to the right of those two. The original plan was to bring the road up, and basically a lot of it was due to the grade of the property. So it was a convenient way to bring it up and behind all of them, to get to the site and get to the lots. But the toughest one really was the one on the right. So when we eliminated that lot, we kept the grade through the middle as access, and as an easement into the array. And that there, the grade is under 10%, so it's a manageable grade on that. So our original grade was maybe a slight bit better, but it, you know, a lot of people didn't want it because of the third lot, the length of that road, so we shortened everything where it should be easy for the people living there and any fire equipment or anybody else to get up there.
Excuse me one second. Can I just get your name, please?
My name is John Summick, S-O-M-Y-K.
Thank you.
So in other words, it's a straighter run instead of going all the way around and making an S type of thing that we had before, which we understand the board wasn't too favorable of a common driveway serving 3 lots. So now, basically, both parties have their own driveway, but the driveways are shared on the line to keep the road cuts to a minimum.
Yeah, the actuality is each person has their own driveway, they're just connected together. So they're coming in at the same point. And it's a lot easier to come through one point. If you look on the plan too, see the grading? The grading to the sides as you enter from Mattity Road onto the road. We're taking some of the grade so you have a good visual. So when you're coming down the driveway, you can see both ways. And people coming up the street, they can see both ways. It was easier to do on one than separating those driveways apart. Plus, the third benefit is we have the easement to get to the array without cutting another entrance in somewhere else to make another spot when you have traffic coming in. Even though the array is very rarely visited, you know, once every month or two, so it's not much traffic, but it's more convenient taking one point in.
And one other issue, the array ended up being smaller because then from the original plan, due to the 20-foot open area around it that the fire department required, it was actually, I think, 39 panels smaller than the original array. What that equals in kilowatts, I don't know. You'd have to do the
We
engine.
gained some area from removing that lot into the overall larger lot, but because of what the fire department wanted for their access around, we lost some panels from that.
And of course, it eliminated the cistern that was brought up at the
Yeah.
last meeting.
So you had another lot that was down to the bottom where the stone wall was.
That's still your lot?
That's still our lot. Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct. Yeah, at some point, that'll be a residential house. It's a 4-acre lot. It's a nice lot, actually, so that'll be a 4-acre lot. I mean, it's a lot of record now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The third lot that was eliminated, could that, or would that ever be a possibility of a lot with access of its own from Mattity Road? Or is that a dead deal for another?
It's one. Yeah, it's one.
Yeah, with the town requirements, they require a certain amount of land for the array size. We couldn't chunk any more off that because it wouldn't conform anymore to the array. The town could stop us based on the size of the array.
So, as you know, I had concerns about the drive from the beginning. My question is, it's a shared drive, 10 feet owned on both parties. Is there a minimum requirement? I don't know if there's a town minimum requirement for a curb cut. So technically, the property line is in the middle of that driveway.
Correct.
So would a curb cut of 10 feet suffice the town? That's my question.
It would actually be a 20-foot.
I understand, but it's a shared, so technically, if somebody got into a squirting contest, they could conceivably put something to divide that.
Not really, because we have the easement across the whole thing to get up. They'd be blocking our access to it. So they couldn't get into a fight without getting in a fight with us too. We have the access to bringing anything right to the array, fire trucks or whatever we need. So they
Right, but we're in North Smithfield, not
Yeah,
Burwood, so I'm just,
it's-
I don't know what the requirements are
Yeah,
for width.
There's a house on Greenville Road, right where Black Plain Road merges, it has that exact same setup.
So the last thing with the driveway is, where is the gate location? It doesn't, it's mentions of a gate, is the gate at the property line of the houses or at the fencing for the array?
At the array.
Okay.
When, I'm just gonna ask that when you're answering questions, if you could just go up to the microphone so people can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, it was mentioned at the last meeting, and it's understandable that the plan looked very complicated. And the reason why it was complicated, and when I met with Tom originally, we didn't want to come in and ask for 2 lots and then wait 2 years and come back and ask for we're not that type of developers. We wanted to give you the whole enchilada, as they say, up front, so you'll know exactly what we're looking for now and in the future. And that was the reason why the plan was complicated, and it was, because technically it was 2 different plans. It was a residential plan and a solar plan.
Just an assumption, from where the driveways end turning into the houses, where it becomes a gravel road or gravel drive, the maintenance for that in-grow on that, that'll be by whoever's maintaining the solar array, correct?
Correct.
And I'm assuming that there'll be some wording in there that each property owner cannot stop somebody from doing that.
Correct,
So
yes.
there will always be that open access.
That's right. Yeah, we'd have a right-of-way by virtue of a deed. It would be a restriction on each deed of the property. So it would describe, there'd be a legal description for the right-of-way going up. So any future problems would be eliminated, rather than just doing it on a handshake, because to your point, later on, 20 years from now, when they sell these houses to somebody else, it becomes a problem.
Yeah, that's my fear, it's not the present, but what follows.
Right, absolutely.
And if it's not clearly stated, then it's like, oh,
Right,
20 years ago, they said this.
exactly. And we run into that all the time. I'm in the real estate brokerage business with the parents who live next door to the kids, and they share the driveway, and then when each one splits, and the driveway's only 8 foot now, and somebody's got 6 feet, and somebody's only got 2, that's where, it becomes the Hatfields and the McCoys later on. It's just not good business.
One good thing too with the solar array is there will be a few times, once a month, maybe somebody going up there, checking the array, cutting the grass in the array. So there'll be use of that road, so it won't be like a road that's not used for 5 years where people are questioning what it is. It'll have continual use, not much use, but some use.
We're planning on the low grass mix. There's a mix, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's a grass mix that everyone's using now on these things that, and it keeps the fire department happy because, for grass fires and things like that.
Don't we have all of our standards pretty much for what needs to be in the array as far as grasses, as far as the fence, the height, leaving the fence off the ground for the little animals to run through? That's kind of all.
Yeah, I believe we've made conditions as far as that goes, just to make sure that it's covered if it's not already in our ordinance.
And I think we'll address that in the preliminary plan
Right.
when they come with more detail.
Okay. And then I had a question. So when we started out, somebody had mentioned that this site is in a wellhead protection area or is not in a wellhead protection area?
It's in the water protection overlay district.
Okay, okay,
Correct.
So they need a special use permit for that.
okay.
And they need a special use permit for the solar.
Yep, okay. Does anybody have any other questions for the applicant?
Make a statement. To use Mr. Punchak's words, your previous plan was messy. I think it's a great idea, because it's a beautiful piece of property that's just sitting there getting abused, really.
Yeah.
We saw by the day we did the walkthrough what's going on up there.
Right.
So I think this is gonna do nothing but improve that hill. I like the fact that it's 2 individual house lots. You don't have a driveway that's going onto a 4th lot, because the way we had it before. My big concern is fire and safety, getting into these houses. You know, if a fire apparatus, say, pulled into this driveway because there was something in lot 1, now he's backing out onto Mattity Road with a fire truck. That's kind of my only concern. But then you can also say, well, it's his 10-foot driveway. So you know, they're just putting their 2 driveways together. I guess in reality, they could separate the middle and put the driveway 20 feet off the property line and each have a 10-foot driveway.
They could back onto the gravel pot.
Right, so there's ways, but it's significantly improved from what we saw before. And like I said, I like the idea of the whole project because it's gonna clean up the whole area.
Plus, in the past, comments were made about if there were parties at one house, or a party at one house, the vehicle parking that potentially could be on that common drive, which is no longer, and you did a nice job by, looks like, giving a sizable driveway that just from, without taking out a scale, you can probably put a minimum of at least 6 to maybe 8 vehicles in each one.
Right.
So that is a big plus also from the previous plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does, looks a lot better.
The others had short driveways for the house.
Yeah.
You were relying on that road, the common road for
Exactly.
overflow.
And we wouldn't have gone down, you know, it wasn't our intention to go down that road. We were just thinking from a curb cut perspective. It was a lot easier to have 1 curb cut for 3 than it was for, that was the only reason why we went down that road. But
Informational, right?
Yeah, but we also need to make a motion for them to go to the next step if we felt that they were,
Oh, okay.
if we're satisfied. Yeah,
This is master plan.
yep. So, as master plan goes, we typically have our conditions that we can tie to it. We also have, you know, the ability to say yes or no, if this complies with our comp plan.
Okay.
So,
I would move to approve the master plan application.
okay, we have a motion to approve the master plan application.
Second?
You have a second from Mr. Menard. Roll call vote. Mr. Fournier.
Yes.
Mr. Keen.
Yes.
Mr. Menard.
Yes.
And the vice chair votes no.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Would the board also authorize the assistant planner to adopt the decision and incorporate the statutory findings
Sure.
required for master plan?
Okay.
I know usually there's a sample decision, but you know we're operating shorthanded right now.
Yep.
But I think we want to give the assistant planner the latitude to get the right decision in front of you to sign.
Okay.
I know you're used to seeing all that already done, but it's.
Yep. Yep.
So I would move that we give the assistant planner the authority to draft an
Positive
opinion,
decision.
favorable opinion regarding the application. And is that the opinion that would go to the zoning board first?
I think it's 2 things. We're still not there yet.
Okay.
This is to have the opinion to incorporate the statutory findings you have to make
Right.
to move the, and I'm sure the assistant planner is aware of them. I just wanted to have that latitude to give you that decision. You say, why are they there? She's gonna put them there.
Yeah.
So if you do that, if you take that vote, then they have to go to zoning board, is that right? And then you need to make a separate motion to make a positive finding to the zoning board. So, I don't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure we get this, I know we're operating a little shorthand.
Right. Okay, so Mr.
So
Keen?
that's, yes.
I got
I've
it.
got the motion that we,
Draft a decision with findings of facts.
yes.
Okay. We have a second from Mr. Fournier. Roll call vote. Mr. Fournier?
Yes.
Mr. Keen?
Yes.
Mr. Menard?
Yes.
And the vice chair votes yes. Now we'll look for a motion for positive recommendation to the zoning board.
I'll make that motion that we give a positive recommendation to the zoning board.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Keen. Do we have a second?
I'll
Do
second.
we have-
I have a second from Mr. Fournier.
I just had a question, if we need to do two for both special use permits, or are you making a recommendation for the special use permit? Are you making a motion for the special use permit?
That's what I understand.
Yeah, well, there's two, that's, I was just asking,
To the zoning board on both matters. It won't be two motions, it'll be one motion for both items.
okay.
Okay, so we have the motion from Mr. Keen and the second from Mr. Fournier. Roll call vote. Mr. Fournier?
Yes.
Mr. Keen?
Yes.
Mr. Menard?
Yes.
And the vice chair votes no. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next item on our agenda for discussion and
I
consideration.
know how to do that. I just didn't do it for this.
RTM Realty, Plat 1, Lot 470, minor land development preliminary plan application. The applicant, owner of MTR Guns and Ammo, is proposing to add an indoor shooting range at his property on Quaker Highway. And Bobby, I'll pass that over to you because I know we have a few things that we can look at this, we can discuss it, but we can't take any action on it tonight. Is that correct?
Well, I think we can take action on it tonight, if you want to give me as with the other one, if you want to give me the authority to write up the decision if you give a positive vote.
Okay. Because on the agenda, all we have is discussion and consideration, so,
I know originally it was just going to be that, but
okay.
I think,
So then, legality-wise, and Mr. Igliozzi, this might be for you too, because the agenda that's posted has discussion and consideration but no action, are we limited to just that?
And I'm also gonna question, was this advertised and noticed to the butters?
no,
Because
it's a minor,
It's a preliminary, it's a minor, minor land development.
Preliminary.
Well, preliminary
Right.
doesn't require it, because there's no zoning relief
right,
and there's no road extension.
no.
I really think, what I would suggest, since it's preliminary, you would still need to come back to final.
Okay, yeah,
I would suggest that you talk about it, and I would ask that if you don't mind, as long as we're not up against a time frame. We up against a time frame?
we can do it if we do it at the October 28th meeting.
I would ask that you, discuss it tonight and put it down for both purposes at the next meeting, so we
Okay.
don't lose any time, and we can make sure that it says discussion, vote, or other action, like what you're
Okay.
saying, not just discussion and consideration.
And then
Just to clarify, because we will have a continuance of it. Bobby, you were just saying the 28th, or were we looking at the October 28th
We have
meeting?
to do it, I sent you a note saying I think we need to meet on the 28th,
Okay,
yes,
all right. I just want to make sure, so when we
and I'll send that.
put it into
I'll send
writing,
it to you.
that
Yeah,
we'll have
you'll
a date
have it.
certain.
Move it to a date certain.
Date certain, yep.
We notice everyone.
Yeah. well, we-
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly, okay. All right. Making sure we get all of our ducks in a row. So, Bobby, other than what's in your memo, do you want to kick that one off as well, and then we'll hand it
Sure.
over to the applicant?
sure, this is an existing business, MTR Guns and Ammo, and they're looking to put a 20 by 46 addition to the rear of their building. It'll be an indoor shooting range at the existing gun store. The zone is MU2. And therefore, he will need he's gonna need a dimensional variance for the rear setbacks, and also, a special use permit for indoor recreation.
Chairman, may I interrupt? And after this preliminary, they're gonna need to go do that before they come back for final.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know if they're gonna have enough time to do that. Certainly, you could hear this matter on the 28th, give them preliminary,
Sure,
but you're not gonna be able to give them final until they come back with the zoning relief.
Right.
okay,
Okay, you know what understood.
Okay.
okay. So, just for my edification too, so if we have our next discussion on, and have some action items for the 28th, can we recommend this for administrative approval at the 28th meeting, because they're just gonna wait for that?
You
Okay,
definitely can,
okay,
as long, but just subject to getting zoning relief.
yep, exactly, exactly.
Zoning relief, no administrative execution.
Okay, fantastic. All right, hand it off to you. If you wouldn't mind, come up. Let us know who you are and what you'd like to do.
All right, my name is Bob Hool. I'm the owner of MTR Guns and Ammo at 229 Quaker Highway in North Smithfield. I have an existing business there right now, Guns and Ammo, and we're looking to do an indoor range. It would be all soundproof. I mean, built by a company that goes and builds plenty of ranges all over the world. They built thousands of ranges. Be all insulated, soundproofed. Concrete walls put up, filled with concrete, steel plates on the ceiling, lighting, the whole 9 yards, you know?
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Just one question, Bob.
Yep.
Is there a regulation or something that deals with the lead? Well, the system that we got, there's gonna be a ventilation system. I mean, this is not a cheap project. I mean, I'm looking to spend probably $1.5 million for the range itself. They got a ventilation system that removes all the lead, you know, they got it's a steel trap system. Everything is contained. The air is all circulated. This company, Action Target, out of Utah, they build ranges all over the world. You can go online, look at them. I mean, they're willing to come out and talk to you people if you have to. Any questions that you wanted, you know, he's more familiar with the systems and stuff. So basically, that's what we're looking, you know, there's gonna be stalls where they shoot from. It's gonna be 25 yards, 75 feet, with a steel trap at the end. Ventilation system, yep. I think it's a great idea. I've been to the Pine Hills indoor range, and it's beautiful. Yep. But this will bring a lot more business in. I think it's gonna bring a lot of business into town. A lot of people
Yep.
use something like that. I don't think there's one in Northern Rhode Island, is there?
No, there isn't. I get over 300 people that want to join right now. I mean, that's not even putting it out there. I mean, just customers coming in. The closest one actually is like Mid-State over in Coventry, and people are gonna drive down an hour there, an hour back. It's a half a day to go shooting, you know what I mean? There is a lot of outdoor clubs, but you gotta put hours in. People work all week. They don't wanna go cut grass on a weekend. They just wanna go shoot for an hour, get out of work, you know what I mean? So I think it would do great. I mean, and I'm kinda centrally located, so I could pick up a lot of Rhode Island, Burrillville, Woonsocket, North Smithfield, Millville, Blackstone, all that area. And I mean, these people coming in, we'd be spending money at the, you know, gas stations, stores, you know what I mean? So, I think it would be great for the town, you know?
How many lanes will there be?
I'm looking at 11, 12 lanes.
11 or 12. Now, there's nothing, so your building has that funny shape right now missing, so you're just looking to
I'm looking to
square off your
square it
building.
off, right.
You're just looking to square off your building.
Right.
So it's
Looking to
really-
square it off. Yep.
Is this gonna be the same, I'm trying to think of where this is, and I know I've been by it.
You know where Flag RV was in North Smithfield?
Yeah, you're
Yep,
over
on-
there, that's where it is,
Yep,
okay,
on the building on the right-hand side.
okay.
Yeah. And I talked to my neighbors don't have a problem with it. I mean, actually, the guy across the street wants to come work for me. And the people that own the building next door, they don't have a problem. I got plenty of parking. I mean, there's no houses really in the area. There's a wooded area next door, there's an empty lot in the back. I mean,
Where would the customer entrance be,
it's the same where it is right now.
coming in through the front?
Come in through the front, we make the store bigger, we would have some classrooms, safety, you know, for safety and stuff. Want to have NRA instructors and give the LTC classes and, you know. Yep. Not much would change with the front of the building. I mean, the front of the building, they probably added some windows on the top, because I want to put some offices upstairs. But as far as the rest of it, I mean, there'd be garage doors on the side would be taken out. There'd be concrete walls put up, 14 feet high, 105 feet long, filled with cement and rebar. All steel plates put on the top, baffled, ventilation system.
This be limited to pistol?
You could shoot up to actually a 50 BMG, and it's all steel plate, AR-6 plate.
Yeah, that's, I think the one that, down in Pine Hills is
Huh?
up to I think the one down in Pine Hills is up to 50.
50.
Cal as well.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. Not having to drive to Coventry, Mid-State, in the wintertime.
No, I think.
I follow my son, my son's a member of a club,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
puts the hours in, and I'll go with him as a guest.
Right.
But I'm not going there in January
Yeah,
to
yeah.
shoot, you know?
No, it'd be strictly indoor.
Right,
I
we
mean,
travel all the way to
Heated, air
Coventry.
conditioned, I mean, you
Right.
know.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I get customers every day that come in and ask me, you know, they buy a gun, where can I go shoot it? I mean, they don't wanna go into Massachusetts, because, I mean, there's, a place in Holliston and there's a place in Attleboro that they're afraid to cross the line with their gun, you know what I mean? There's a limitation on magazines and stuff like that. And even that, Holliston's a ride for people around here. Attleboro's a ride, you know?
Would you do something like where they have, like competitions? Like, I know
Oh, yeah, we
there's, I
do.
got friends that were like in leagues, and they'd go different places and
Yeah.
shoot and stuff.
I mean, do a ladies' night and stuff like that, I mean,
So there'd
there's a
be
lot of
different
ladies
things.
at the shooting, you know, what I mean, training, I mean, yeah. I even talked to the police chief, and he actually really, he said, we probably rent it from you, you know what I mean? So,
I think it's a, you know, a great idea. You're not doing any impact. You're never gonna see it from the road.
right.
Maybe you'll see it from the highway. I don't know, but you're just tucking it away in the back corner of your
Yeah, I think
building.
I'm
I think it's a
240
great,
feet
great
off
concept.
off the highway, I think, you know?
Yep.
So plenty far from the highway.
All right. Sounds like you're having a pretty positive vibe over here, so. So if you don't mind, we would like to make I'll make a motion to continue this to a date certain of October 28th.
Okay.
And at that time, we'll be able to vote on it
Okay.
and make a recommendation that it's consistent with our comp plan and all the good stuff that comes along with that.
Yeah.
And probably get something done so it can be done, your
Yeah,
final
not
approvals can
to
be due.
push it, but it's just kind of a time frame to get
Yep.
foundation in, and I
Yeah.
gotta put that addition on, you know what I mean?
Yep,
So,
So,
I'm
yep.
just looking to do something
We could do
before it gets too
To
cold,
be
you know what I mean?
continued administratively from there,
Yep.
that would be great.
yep. So I'm gonna make a motion that we continue this to a date certain of October 28th. Do I have a second?
Second.
You have a second from Mr. Keen. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in a
Now,
couple weeks.
so October 28th, it's a couple of weeks, I come back here, and then where does it go from there?
So what we'll do is that we'll be able to vote on the application itself, and then, let's see, hold on, let me remember about the process here. We'll have to go to zoning for that relief, and then if everything goes fine here, I would say we would probably recommend that we have this done administratively. So then once you, based on the conditions that you get approval from zoning, so then once that goes through, Bobby, or whoever the town planner is at that time, can then certify everything and you can start moving forward. Yeah,
Oh, great.
Yep.
Yeah,
Save
it's
you-
just,
try to save you a step,
with the winter coming and stuff, I'd like to get something going that we could do work inside, and
certainly.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much. All right,
Just a couple things. We do have a new planner, but I don't know when he's gonna start.
okay,
So I wanted to let you know that. And October 28th, we're going to do those, it's Dowling Village condos. They're calling them Old Exquisite condos. That's why I gave you the package. It's huge. So I wanted to give you enough time to look at it. And then I'll add this to the agenda. And then November 18th, we'll give ourselves a little leeway with the Dowling Village condos and in case they need to come back. And December's not looking so good for a meeting, because Carl's gonna be away.
That's not allowed.
So, so we're working on what we're gonna do for December. It definitely won't be on a Thursday, but we'll try to figure out, because we may need to meet in December. So
Okay.
hopefully we'll have a new planner by then, and,
And maybe we can find a substitute for Carl, too.
yeah,
So, because I was actually gonna suggest that we find Carl train somebody else, too, so then that way we're not solely reliant on Carl, and then he can actually have a life outside of Thursday and Tuesday
I've
nights.
actually mentioned that to him just today.
You may be up to something, though.
All right, so with that, I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn. Do I, we have a second from Mr. Fournier? All in favor? Aye. All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone.